Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point, AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Great to have you in the conversation today. I want to let you know I've got a column up at our news site, onenewsnow.com. I sent out a tweet with the link in it. It's also on the Focal Point Facebook page. By the way, sign up for my Twitter account. Brian J. Fisher is my handle. Also go to Focal Point, our Facebook page, click the like button, and you'll find the same content that's on my Twitter feed. There's two ways to kind of access the information that I send out, and I send this out as I'm just doing my show prep, and I find a story that I think you would be interested in because it touches on a value that we share or illustrates a point that I try to make on this program. I will tweet that out just as soon as I'm done reading it. I'll just tweet out the link so you can kind of stay abreast and almost kind of follow me as I do a lot of the show prep. I don't tweet out everything. I don't have time to do that. Everything that I use on the program or everything that I read. But if I think it's particularly significant, I'll try to put that on the Facebook page and send it out as a tweet. So go to Focal Point Facebook page and hit the like button. Follow us there. Or you can go to Twitter, Brian J. Fisher, and follow the feed there. Now, I talked with you yesterday about polygamy, and I made the point, we had this ruling on Friday basically legalizing polygamy. Some people say, well, technically he didn't do that, but let's not fool ourselves here. That's what happened. Polygamy was legalized by this federal judge. This is exactly how the process that led to the overturning of California's Proposition 8 started. It started in exactly the same way with one rogue renegade district judge overturning the will of the people, and that's what this judge has done. And I made the point yesterday, look, it's impossible that polygamy could be constitutional in the United States. It's simply impossible. Historically, legally, constitutionally, it is impossible because polygamy was illegal everywhere in the United States at the time of the founding. In other words, at the time that they put the Constitution and the Bill of Rights together, everywhere in the United States, it was illegal to engage in polygamy. In fact, it was the death penalty in colonial America. At the time of the founding, Virginia, after they enacted their Religious Freedom Act, after they sent a recommendation to Congress to add religious liberty to the Bill of Rights, after that, they passed a law providing a death penalty for polygamy. That's how strongly they felt about it. So there's no possible way that this could be constitutional. And the Supreme Court issued a ruling in 1878, which you'll notice is after the 14th Amendment. I mean, the holy grail for people that want to try to impose whatever on jurisprudence is the 14th Amendment. They say that just takes everything and applies it to the states. Well, this was after this ruling that polygamy is illegal in the United States. That ruling was issued after the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment, First Amendment have no effect on legalizing polygamy. And I'd asked a question, and I've called some people I know that are sort of insiders in D.C. to ask for a question. How come the Republican Party has not said anything about this? I mean, the Republican Party, as I mentioned yesterday, was founded to fight the twin relics of slavery, twin relics of barbarism, slavery, and polygamy. Well, bigamy, but that just means two. Polygamy is more than two, so same difference. But that's why the Republican Party came into being, to fight slavery and to fight polygamy. So where is the Republican Party? I haven't heard anybody but Rick Santorum say anything about it. And I got quite a bit of communication, by the way, from folks that were sort of on my case for leaving Rick Santorum out of my 2016 profile. And I want to assure everybody, I think the world of Rick Santorum. I think that he is, of all the possible candidates, he's the one that understands the connection between the family and a healthy society better than any of them. And he's willing to articulate it, and he's fearless, and he's bold, and he is direct. He said a lot of the same things that I have said that got me put on the SPLC's kind of hate group list. He said the same things and defended it. So he understands this. I think he's going to have a difficult time getting traction, which is why I didn't give more attention to him. But I love Rick Santorum, and if he caught fire, I would be happier than a clam if his candidacy caught fire, because I think the world of Rick Santorum. Now, before we go back to the phones, 888-589-8840, I've got another piece here. This is on Slate.com. This is another one of those uber left-wing websites. And it is written by a liberal, and the title of the piece is The Problem with Polygamy. So the question naturally comes up, why do we oppose polygamy? Why do we oppose this redefinition of marriage? Why do we oppose what this activist judge says? And I cannot make a better case for a ban on polygamy than this liberal writer makes on Slate. So this is kind of liberal queen for a day on Focal Point here, Camille Paglia. And now, this writer is by the name of Libby Copeland. So again, we have another female writer talking about the problem with polygamy. And I'll just touch on this briefly, and then we'll go back to the phones, 888-589-8840. She used to be a reporter at the Washington Post, and she's a regular contributor to Slate. This is from a year ago, 2012. A new study out of the University of British Columbia documents how societies have systematically evolved away from polygamy because of the social problems it causes. So she didn't even talk about religion in here anywhere. She said, and there's a reason why Christianity is against it, and that's what she's talking about here, because of the social problems it causes. Well, what are those social problems? Number one, it causes problems for the young, low-status males in a polygamous society who are denied wives by older, wealthy men who have hoarded all the women. And these young men create problems for everybody. So it creates a problem for young males because the maybe the most attractive and marriageable young women get snatched up by the guys with all the money that are older. And so it reduces the number of women that are available to become wives for these guys. And this study, the authors of this study says monogamous marriage reduces crime because polygamous societies, in contrast to monogamous societies, create large numbers of unmarried men whose presence is correlated with increased rates of rape, theft, murder, and substance abuse. The problem with unmarried men appears to come primarily from their lack of investment in family life and in children. Young men without futures tend to engage in riskier behaviors because they have less to lose. And that's just simply an obvious fact. If a guy is married, if he has children, he's going to feel a sense of obligation. He's going to feel a burden to care for them, to provide for them, that he does not feel if he has no responsibility to a wife and no responsibility for children. So he's got time on his hands, and some of that energy is going to go in directions that are going to create problems for society. Now, it's bad for women. It's bad for young males, and it's bad for women, according to this feminist author. Historically, polygamy has proved to be yet another setup that harms the female set because there are never enough of them to go around. They wind up being married off younger. Brothers and fathers, realizing how valuable their female relations are, tend to control them more. And as one would expect, polygamous households foster jealousy and conflict among co-wives. I think it's one of the reasons why we're given such extensive profiles of polygamous households in the Old Testament to show that it never, ever works out. And one of the main reasons is because of the jealousy, the rivalry, and the conflict among the co-wives. Ethnographic surveys of 69 polygamous cultures, quote, reveals no case, 69 cultures, studies of 69 cultures, no case where co-wife relations could be described as harmonious. None, not one. None of these 69 societies that were polygamous in nature, not one of them had co-wife relations that were harmonious. So what does that mean? That means there's trouble in the household. There's trouble in the home. There's tension there and bitterness and rivalry and anger. So it's not good for women. They get caught up in these kind of. Children, too, suffer in polygamous cultures. Heinrich examines a study comparing 19th century Mormon households, 45 of them headed by wealthy men, with multiple wives, 45 headed by poorer men, generally with one wife each. They couldn't afford to have more. What's surprising is that the children of the poorer men actually fared better, proving more likely to survive to age 15. Polygamy discourages paternal investment. If a guy's got a whole bunch of kids going around, he can't invest himself with the same energy in all of them. Men with lots of children and wives are spread too thin. And to make things worse, they're compiling resources to attract their next wives instead of using it for their existing families. So in other words, she says, liberal writer, polygamy is bad for young males, it's bad for women, and it's bad for children. All right, well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's begin with Scott in Dallas, Texas. Scott, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
First of all, I just wanted to tell you I listen to you a lot, and I really appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you very much.
And standing up for us Christians.
Thank you.
Okay. I had just a couple quick comments I'd like to make and then a question.
Okay.
I believe that the reason that these women are writing, even if they're liberal, the reason they're writing about polygamy, nobody likes that. Who wants to share their spouse?
Mm-hmm.
You know, even people that are living the way they shouldn't be, there's still jealousy. I mean, even if they're not a Christian and they're swinging or whatever they're doing, there's still jealousy among those people because God didn't make us to be that way.
Yeah.
That was one of my comments. Then the other one was, I don't know why we don't go back to sticks and stones. I mean, that's what my mom and my grandmother told me when somebody was giving me a hard time when I was a little kid. Sticks and stones. You don't worry about what they say about you.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. And
when the leftists start slinging their stuff around, just toss it to the side, because when we engage that conversation, we give it validity, and it doesn't need it because it's just the ridiculous things that they come up with. I mean, it just it's jaw-dropping to me sometimes, the stuff I read.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? We're even going to talk about that? It's just like,
yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to shuck it to the side, and then we're going to get back to the topic because that's all it is a diversion.
Yeah, and
they're going to lose the argument.
Yeah, well, and you're right. I think name calling is the first refuge of a man without an argument.
Mm-hmm.
There's a statement that patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. Well, I think name calling is the first refuge of a man without an argument. And so, I agree. I think what we have to develop is just a thick skin as conservatives and as Christians, because we're now increasingly going to be the object of ridicule, mockery, and even worse. I mean, the secular left is really out to hurt us and punish us, silence us, marginalize us, and actually lock us up. That baker in Colorado, he's facing jail time just for not making a wedding cake for a same-sex marriage ceremony. So at some point, you just have to develop a thick skin. I agree with you, Scott. We just have to develop a thick skin, the skin of a rhinoceros. We want to have a thick skin and a soft heart. If there's one phrase to capture what a Christian man is supposed to be, or Christians in general, a Christian man needs to have a thick skin and a soft heart. So when these barbs come, we don't just react. We don't lash out. We don't lash back in anger. We're able to take that. We're able to absorb it. We don't lash out. We don't return evil for evil. What we return for evil is we return truth. We go back, as you say, Scott, we go back to the issue. We go back to the debate. So instead of returning evil for evil, we return truth for evil. Focal Point, AFR Talk. We'll be right back. Stay with us.